Shalom, friends. This is Akiva Gersh from Israel in 5, and I want to wish you a happy Passover and invite you to take part in a very important fundraising campaign from Meir Panim. Meir Panim is an organization that for many years and decades has been taking care of Israel's most needy populations, those living under the poverty line, including children, Holocaust survivors, soldiers as well. And now, around the time of Passover, when people get together and they celebrate and they have beautiful meals together, Meir Panim is making sure that all these populations and more have what they need, all the matzah, all the food, all the things that they need to make this holiday a joyous one. In addition to the populations I mentioned as well, they're helping families, communities that had to evacuate because of the attack on Israel in October 7th. So many of them still not in their homes. So please open up your heart, go to israel5.org/donate, and please give what you can at this very, very special time, an important time for those in Israel who need your help the most. Holocaust survivors, soldiers, evacuated families, and those living underneath the poverty line, including children. Please do what you can, open your heart. We appreciate it so much, and have a great and happy Passover. The first night of Passover at the Passover Seder, we highlight the most important part of Judaism and the Jewish people, and that is telling the story of our people to our children. Shalom, friends. This is Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. Passover, this is the time of our freedom, our liberation. And the most important thing that we do, especially the first night of Passover, when we sit around the table with family, with friends, adults and children, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, is we take a few hours and we tell the story, the ancient story of the exodus of the Israelite people out of slavery in Egypt and into the desert on their way to the promised land. This is one of the mitzvot, one of the commandments of this first night of Passover, is to tell the story. There's actually a commandment. It's one of the 613 commandments in the Torah, is to tell the story of the Exodus to our children and make sure that that story is remembered. Make sure that that story is passed down from generation to generation so that we don't forget it. And even though we have that story written down and anyone can pick up that book, the Holy Torah, and read that story, it's a very, very different experience when sitting around with people, living people, right next to you, across the table, around the table with you, and telling that story live, in person, with our own voices, with our own hearts. It's a very, very tremendous experience, this Passover Seder. People look forward to it for weeks, if not months. They get ready for days, if not weeks, cleaning the house in preparation for Passover, cooking all the holiday foods, and making sure they have all the symbolic foods that will be on the table at the time of the Seder, at the time of telling the story, because we use these symbolic foods as props to help tell the story. You know, the commandment is not only to tell the story, right, but to tell the story in a way that's engaging, specifically to the younger children, through questions and answers, engage them. Ask them questions, invite them to ask us, the adults in the room, ask us questions, to create dialogue and discussion, wonder why, wonder how, and really bring it to life. And even if we've heard the story so many times, to imagine ourselves as we're hearing it and we're telling it for the first time, specifically for the sake of the younger ones, but also for our own sake. Maybe we'll hear something new. Maybe we'll be reminded of a new aspect of the story that once long ago we heard, but we forgot because we're forgetful people. We human beings, we forget a lot. And it's so important to remind ourselves. Right? Passover Seder is one big reminder to make sure that we understand how unbelievable the story of the Exodus really is, and to pass down that wonder to our children, that appreciation of this incredible story. Right? So again, at the center, the pillar of this first night of Passover is storytelling, is making sure the next generation knows. And that goes in general, not only for the Passover story, not only for the Exodus, but for our lives in general, to make sure that the ones coming after us know what happened to us and what happened to those who came before us. to pass down our story, to pass down our history. It's such an important part of any people, any nation, any culture, any religion. I remember years ago, I read a book, and in the book, it was written by a West African man who was actually taken away from his village at a very, very young age, and he got back to his village and to his people at an older age, and he had this whole very challenging initiation back into his people's lives, into his culture. And he shared an idea in the book that really stuck with me, that really impacted me in my own life as well. And that is that most of the sicknesses, so to speak, the problems, the troubles of our world, if not all of them, can be traced back to the fact that modern day humans, your average modern day human, is disconnected from his or her past, from his or her ancestors. It's a very, very powerful statement. It's a very, very powerful observation to make and moment of awareness to have. That maybe we're disconnected from our past. Maybe we don't know the story. Maybe we don't know any of the story. Maybe we don't know enough of the story. And when we do, we fill ourselves up with something that we can't get anywhere else. We fill ourselves up with a sense of purpose and place and direction. We give ourselves a connection to the past so that we can understand the now, so we know where we're going in the future. Right? And that's all happening in a very, very beautiful and powerful, meaningful way. The first night of Passover, when we sit around with our friends or family, we tell the story of the Exodus and make sure that we tell the story to the next generation so that they know that beautiful story.